Hello, Gavin. Matthew here with FreePrescriptionLenses.com, and with the help of my GoPro camera, I'm going to show you something really cool, a really special pair of glasses I like to work on today. It is the special series from RayBan. Let me open up your box. You get the special red box. You get the special red case. You even get special stuff talking about the icons in your box, along with a lot of junk mail, because RayBan has discovered you just don't get enough junk mail at home, so they're going to put some in your case now. So let's open these bad boys up. You get the RayBan case with the red one with the RayBan on the button. These are the original Wayfarers in color. What color is this? 1138, which is the wood grade finish with the surf on the inside. That is a Hawaiian pattern. That is absolutely incredible. This is a beautiful, beautiful frame. All right, let me get to work because there's a lot of stuff I got to show you before my 20 minutes is up. So I'm going to put your Italian frame into my Italian Santinelli LE1000 patternless edger. Runs about $30,000. I recommend everyone go out and get one. So now the stylus is tracing the shape of your left lens, and that's going to scoot over and trace the shape of your right. Here at FreePrescriptionLenses.com, where everyone loves a bargain and no one is disappointed with quality. So you bought the frame and you get the free single vision lenses, and all you did was upgrade to the Transition and Anti-Glare. So I'm going to pull up the shape of your frame onto the computer. Your pupillary distance is 61. I'm going to type that in here. These are polycarbonate lenses, which I'm going to cut on the soft cycle, which means it just cuts a little bit slower. And this is for a Xyle frame, which is an old school name for plastics. So here are your Transitions Series 7, Signature 7 series with Crizal. This is your right lens, which reads -50, -175. At 75, so I'm going to take your lens out, spin the axis wheel on my Marco 101 lensometer. This sounds Italian also. Oh, Jacksonville, Florida, so no. Okay, so 75, let me find the axis at 75. The power, I will spin the power drum to -50. I'm going to put your lens in and rotate it until I find the optical centers, and your sphere power of -50 comes in perfectly. I'm going to check your astigmatism correction, which is a -175, so I'm getting a combined power of -2¼ We are perfect there. Get everything lined up, and I'm going to put some dots on your lenses, which are too light for you to see, so I'm going to darken these for you. I'm going to put a dot there, there, and there. This just gives me a horizontal meridian. I've got the crosshairs of a scope here essentially, so I'm going to move everything where that's perfect. Let me take your left lens, which reads -175, -150 at 90, so I'm going to spin the axis wheel to 90. The power drum I will spin to 175. Put this into my 101, and actually here's something unique. You have half a diopter of base up prism. So what I want to do is I'm going to decenter. Once I get everything lined up perfectly like I did in the other, I'm going to move the lens up. I'm pulling this lever so your lens moves. I'm going to rotate it so your lens goes up by half a diopter, and then I'm going to put the dots on it. I am going to darken these dots and mark this one left. Now, I need to put a block on here while it's cutting. This is what's going to hold it in the lathe. So I need to put a double-sided little sticky on here. These are from 3M. The black side is the sticky side. I'm going to put this sticker on here, pull away the paper on the back side, making that side sticky. Get everything lined up in the crosshairs of my scope, and down goes the block on your right lens. Let me do the same thing for the left. And then I want to use this as a little illustration on the prism, which I'll explain. Get everything lined up perfectly. I have a straight line on the inside, and that's why those 3 dots were put on there. Now, if you notice, between your right lens and your left, if I line them, woohoo, it is slippery, caught it. You like that KGB-like reflexes? If you notice, your left block is slightly higher than your right. That is the base up prism that you will be getting. So, before I start cutting, that Crizal Anti-Glare, I'll explain what anti-glare does, but one of the side effects of it is the hydrophobic coating, meaning that it hates water or liquid, so you'll never have to use a liquid to clean your lenses again. The RayBan cleaning cloth that is provided and the cleaning cloth that I will give you is all you will ever need to clean your lenses. So I'm going to put this into the chuck. Hello, Chuck. And hit the start button. Make sure everything's lined up. Plus, can you see those two red dots, how they're off center? That's what's giving you a half a diopter of base up prism. So the calipers are going to come down and trace the shape of your frame onto the lens to make sure it is large enough to cut out. It is tracing the concave side of the lens first, which is closest to your eyelashes. Then it's going to scoot over, and the calipers are going to trace the convex side of the lens, which is away from the face. The calipers all the while measuring the thickness of the lens, knowing exactly where to put the bevel. The actual cutting wheel is down here on the bottom. It's the wheel on the left. It's the lighter color. It's like a heavy grit sandpaper. It's going to grind away the polycarbonate material. And this wheel with the channel in there is what's going to put the bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. I will have to close the door, but I want you to see your lens touch the cutting wheel. So, Gavin, you also ordered an extra set of lenses for a black and red frame that you already have. I went ahead and cut these in advance. These are labeled. This is the packaging you will receive them by. These are the same foam packets at the multi-billion-dollar labs when they send me the invisible bifocals with transitions and anti-glare. This is your right lens, I know because it's labeled right. And your left lens, -175, -150 at 90 with half a diopter of prism base up. The BU is abbreviation for base up. But in order to mount your lenses, and you can try this at home, and don't worry, these are the unbreakable bullet. They are bulletproof, up to 22 caliber, have both UVA and UVB protection, but they're unbreakable polycarb, so you don't have to worry about this. But to mount your lenses, and I'm going to do it with the future ones, you tuck it in at the outside corner, and then using your thumbs, you press down at the nose. This shape is a little hard, it wants to wiggle around. You press down and it should snap in. There we go. Your left lens, tuck it in. If you notice, I was working on this side. I rotated the frame this way with the temples pointing downward. It's always with your thumbs, and you always push down at the nose. I'll show you how you take them out. But you tuck it in at the outside corner first, and then using your thumbs, press down at the nose. It snaps right in. Now, I did cut these a little bit larger than I'm going to cut this one, because as we spoke on the phone, I know that other labs who never have contact with people have a tendency to cut lenses too large for this frame and stretch the frame. I have anticipated that, but if you have a hard time getting them in, just take them to an optical shop and they'll do it for you. Now, for me to remove them, I turn the frame downward. I'm right-handed, so I grab the frame with my left hand, and again with my thumb at the nose, and I'm going to put my hand on the outside of your frame and torque it just a little bit, but I'm going to press down with my thumb. Out pops your right lens. I'm going to rotate this around. Do the same thing again, out pops the left lens. So I'm going to clean my fingerprints off and carefully package the extra set of lenses that you purchased. Whoa, don't go anywhere, RayBan. So that is that. Now, of course, 99% of all optical shops do free adjustments. So when you receive these glasses, and if they're too loose or too tight, or if they're high on one side or the other, just stop by any local optical shop near your house in Arizona. In Phoenix, Arizona, wonderful, wonderful Phoenix, and just tell them if it's too loose, too tight, or crooked, and they'll know exactly what to do. I'm going to tuck your left lens in here, put that there, and I'm actually going to tape this closed so there's no way these can move during shipping, and you are good to go. So, I'm going to take your right lens out of the chuck. I'm going to use a paper towel to dry it off so your lens is not slippery. And you still have a little bit of rough edges there, so I'm going to go around the outside of the lens and put on what's known as the safety bevel. I'm going to use my thumbnail to scrape away the edges. And this white powdery substance that you see here is called Schwarf. That's what came off the edge of your lens. If you're a Mel Brooks fan, this is when you say, "May the Schwarf be with you." But it's not going to be with you. I'm going to scrape it off the lens and I'm put it on the counter. And once I've gotten it all onto the counter, I carefully inspect it and then I wipe it on the floor. This is where I tell kids, stay in school. Kids. I went to school for years to learn how to make a mess. Don't think you can do it as easily as me. Stay in school, learn to make a mess. So in order to see if your lens fits, I tuck it in at the outside corner just like I did. And then using my thumbs, and I can just tell this one ain't going in. So I always start a little bit large with these frames and then work my way down. I'm going to take it down 1/10 of a millimeter. Still may not be enough, but I can always take it down more. You can always cut more off of a lens. You can never add it back on there. So, While that's going down, 1/10 of a miller taken off, I want to go ahead and explain your prescription. It reads -50, -175 at 75. Your left eye reads -175, -150 at 90 with half a diopter base up of Prism. So the unit of measurement in the optical field is called a diopter, and that is spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R. Everything is in quarter increments, 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, 1, and so on. Your right eye reads a -50, -175 at 75. So this first box, this is your right eye, your left eye, -50, -175. You need 2 steps of correction in your right eye. Without your glasses on, things are actually much larger in life than they appear. So when you put your glasses on, it minifies to the correct size that it should be. Your astigmatism correction, you had 2 steps of correction here. You need another 7 steps. It's like having 7 quarters. So it's combined. This is what makes your high school algebra teacher happy when you find out you use algebra at your job. If someone owed you 50 cents and then they owed you another $1.75, they owe you a combined power of -2 1/4, which I'll show you in just a moment. So this box gets everything the correct size. These numbers takes away the fuzzy edges. This is your astigmatism. There is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. Someone has straight hair, someone has curly hair. But you need 7 steps of correction. So this gets everything the correct size. This takes away the fuzzy edges, so 6s and 8s, or the letters P and F don't look alike. And 75, if you can imagine, the top edge of this card is 0 to 180. If this were a circle, this is 0, 180, with 90 and 270 being the vertical meridian. The horizontal is 0 and 180, with 0 and 180 being the same number. 75, so if we were at 95 and this were 0, this is the fine-tune knob. This is what makes everything nice and clear. We would turn that knob to about 75, and that's what makes everything clear. You cannot have your lens rotate. That meridian has to be just perfect or it's not going to work. So, let's take it back out and let's see whether it fits. I'm going to dry everything off again. Go back to the handstone. Back to the safety bevel as it is known. Scrape away the swarf. And I do this so much, I have worn a V-shaped bevel into my thumbnail. Hopefully you can see that. My friends call it my occupational thumbnail. But once it's off, you know what? Right onto the floor. Kids, stay in school. How many times I got to tell you? Okay, so I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner. And using my thumbs, I press down. Nope, it still does not want to go in. So I'm going to take it down another 1/10 of a millimeter. And hit the retouch button. The right lens always takes the longest. I always start a little bit large and cut it down slowly when I need to. As I mentioned, you can always cut more off of a lens. You can never add it back on, so that's why I start slow, especially with very expensive lenses with transitions and anti-glare. Oh, your anti-glare, I never explained how it works. So what anti-glare does, and let me back up even further, all seeing is getting light to the eyes. The more light, the better, no matter what material we use, glass, plastic, polycarb, although glass has gone by the way of the dinosaur. Plastic's okay, but I use the thinner, lighter weight. Polycarb is thinner, 40% thinner and lighter than regular plastic. It is also virtually unbreakable, and as I mentioned, it is bulletproof up to 22 caliber and has both UVA and UVB protection. We know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin. Well, your eyes are 8 times more sensitive to your skin, so you have permanent sunscreen for your eyes. But the anti-glare coating, it eliminates glare when driving at night, particularly driving at night in the rain, but from street lights, stoplights, computer screens, overhead lights, fluorescent lights, it takes away the glare. This lens to my right does not have the coating on there, and you can see the reflection of the fluorescent lights on the right lens. You don't get it on the left. The other nice feature about this is 3 features in one. I just explained the anti-glare feature. It's an anti-reflection feature, meaning that when someone's looking at you, they don't see their reflection in your glasses. It makes for better eye contact. Plus, the main reason everyone gets it, sadly, but I mean, it's a valid point, it's not for the medical, it's strictly cosmetic. But if someone takes a picture with a flash, you don't see the flash lit up in the lens. You see just your eyes. More people get it for that reason. They say, what's that thing I can get when I get the picture taken? I know exactly what they're talking about. So again, I'm going to dry your lens off, back to the handstones. And the third feature that I like with Crizal lenses, it comes with the best scratch coating in the business because they want to put the best protection they can over their best anti-glare lenses. So that is that. Wipe that on the floor. You know where that was going. So again, in order to insert it, I tuck it in at the outside corner closest to me, and then using my thumbs, I press down. It's still not going. It's still not going. Another 1/10 of a millimeter. And a 1/10 of a millimeter, let me show you, a millimeter is the distance between my thumbnails. So I'm taking a 1/10 of that distance off every time until I know it's going to fit perfectly. And if you can notice, let's see, let me grab a very high-tech tool. I don't know what this is. One of the labs gave it to me. I'm not sure what you would call this, but I'm going to use it to illustrate my point. You can see water running in the background of the machine, but polycarbonate cuts dry. This is a great tool. I wonder if anyone could ever develop this for a very practical purpose. So let me dry that off and save that for another year. Tuck that in over there. There is water running in the background, but polycarbonate cuts dry where plastic and high index cut wet. Having said that, water only kicks in during the very final cycle, just to wash away any of the schwarf or optical debris. And please take notes, Gavin. You will be tested on this later. So your left eye is needs much more correction, minus 175, minus 150 at 90. So you're starting off with 7 steps of correction. You're on the 7th rung of a ladder. You need another 6 steps of correction, giving you a total of 13 steps of correction. That would be what, 3 1/4 if my math is right at 90. So that time we turn the knob directly to 90. And you have 1/2 of a diopter. So that's 2 steps, 0.25, 0.50. Base up, which is a prism, so it's like a triangle. So the base would be up with the top portion of the pyramid pointing downward. Now what that does, that is a muscular rated thing. That's how people get double vision with Prism. It is strictly, you have 6 eye muscles. And it's just like any other muscle in your body. They get tired. If you had to hold something heavy out with your arm, eventually that would get heavier and heavier and you're going to want to set it down. That is eye fatigue. Your muscles are getting tired. That's when things get late. And if I were to guess, I would say you get this late in the day after staring at a computer, would be my guess, because you actually forget to blink when you're at a computer. You're concentrating so hard. So again, I tuck it in at the outside corner and using my thumbs, this one's going. It snaps in perfectly. So let me flip over and we're going to cut the left lens with Prism. And actually, I did not have to have that ground in. I decentered manually. Let me hit left and start. And just like before, this is going to come down and trace the shape of your frame, the left side of your frame, onto the lens to make sure it's large enough to cut out. And I did have to move it a little bit more. Now, a lesser optician would have had this custom ground, but I can decenter the lens manually to give me the same thing. And hopefully this block will not get in the way. I can actually use a smaller block if it does. Woo! Look how close that was as it comes around and spins. One more time. Look how close it comes to that. Whoa! Just made it by the hair of my chinny chin chin. So as that cuts, I'm going to move over. I'm going to take this block off. It is no longer needed. I broke the suction on there. I'm going to set that down. Pull that sticker off, and that is right where your right eye is going to be sitting. I'm going to see, I'm going to spin the axis wheel of your right eye to 75. Make sure we're reading minus 50, minus 175. So I put that in over the optical center. Spin that to what? 75. There is 75. Look inside, and that is dead on perfect at minus 50. That is 0, which is halfway to 1. I'm going to spin it further to check for the astigmatism correction. And when if someone borrowed 50 cents and another $1.75, they would owe you 2 1/4. We are just beyond 2. That's 2 1/4, 250, 275, 3. So that checks out perfectly, and we're going to check for the astigmatism. And I will use this graph held up to the light so you can see how that red dot, the line that's on there, your left lens, that red dot is going to be just about a millimeter higher on that side than the left. Usually you want everything on a 180 meridian, which is just straight across your left lens is going to be up just a little bit. If you notice, it's still completely flat at the edges. This is before the bevel is put on. Now this whole process takes about, I have 20 minutes before YouTube cuts me off and makes this video automatically too. But because of these are transition lenses with anti-glare, I want to actually darken them and show you what you are going to expect. I apologize if this, due to length, is cut into 2 videos. I hope this is entertaining enough to watch. But I gotta tell you, Gavin, this is a beautiful, beautiful frame. I love anything with a wood finish. And then you got the Hawaiian print on the inside. And living in the desert of Arizona, if this gets you that much closer to Hawaii, then God bless you. You're already closer than me because I'm in North Carolina, which is the jewel of the East Coast as compared to South Carolina. No, just kidding. Just kidding.